Hiya folks, my name's Jamie Boyle. I kind of came to light with the Paul Sykes books, which were both bestsellers in 2017. Paul Sykes kind of was the reason why I started writing books, because I watched his documentary several times and read his book, and I wanted to know what happened to him. So basically, after there wasn't really a great deal before I come on the scene with War Cry Publishing. So I kind of just bothered to do it myself. We're now 2020 and there's a feature film and a documentary on him around the corner. With Western Edge Pictures, they've bought the rights for Sweet Agony, Unfinished Agony, Further Agony. They're going to be, the three of them are going to be moulded into one script, and there's going to be a film with a documentary. But I've kind of been away with I've been away from the Sykes projects for the last couple of years. Kind of concentrating on your Lee Duffys, your Brian Cockerells, your Roy Shaws. And a lot of people have always said, are you going to do another Paul Sykes book? For a while I was, and I never really had an intention. And then, I think every kind of great story needs an ending. So I've spent the last couple of hours writing the book plan for Sykes' Final Agony, which will be the third and final book from me. Them two books I did, they were, they had the characters in, famous, infamous, some like notorious names like Charles Bronson, Chris Lambrianou, Eddie Richardson, and then you've got the names from the boxing world who, everyone had a story on Paul Sykes. People like Johnny Nelson, Glenn McCrory, and then obviously the folk from the Lupset estate and the magnificent city of Wakefield, which has almost been like an adopted city for me, if you like. But yeah, I think I've got unfinished business with Sykesy, and I've accumulated a lot of knowledge, over the years regarding Paul Sykes. I've been to visit Paul Sykes Jr. in prison. Became really good friends with one of his wives. Been to see her several times. I met Delroy Showers, sat with him for hours. John Spenceley, who's basically was the reason Paul got the professional license in the first place. And obviously his Middlesbrough connection. You know what? There's a lot of people over the years that have told me things and never really been comfortable with being in the book. So I'm going to do this book, and it's going to be me alone. So I'm going to cover Paul's early life, his upbringing. In my own words, what was his school years. I'm going to go right the way through his amateur boxing. He was a boys club. He won the boys club's title in 58, I think it was, 1958. The prison years, his reputation in prison. His name was bigger in prison than it was outside. I'm going to talk about how he became to be so well educated. He was very well read, very articulate. He had an education that most lecturers, university teachers couldn't have held a torch to. I'd like to go, I found a lot about his professional boxing. I've got a lot of knowledge on like the women in Paul's life. And I'm, a lot of questions I get asked a lot of time is the rape allegations. Did he really rape YPs? I know I've sat with many people really close to Paul. And I really want to put into a chapter what the guy was really about. And I want to kind of put that to bed, because didn't he? I know people, I certainly, once I put in a book, it will be fully, listen, I don't really want to go into it at the minute because obviously I want you to buy the book. But listen, Paul Sykes was openly, he said, yeah, I just have sex with men. Did he drag people into an alley and rape them? No, I don't think he did. Yeah, listen, Paul Sykes would openly admit it. Did he manipulate people into having sex with him in prison? Of course he did. There was, there's lots of situations like that, but I want to put it in my own words and think, right, what really happened. I want to speak about the drink, the drugs, is undiagnosed mental illnesses. I want to really talk about his fighting ability. Yes, he was a boxer, but, he was freakishly strong. That clip on YouTube, the clip in Paul Sykes at Large, when he's benching, I think he's squatting 225 kg, which is about 440 pounds. I asked Brian Cockrell about that. I've just obviously done his book and documentary. And he said that's a really, really good weight. So not only did he have kind of the boxing ability, he was freakishly strong as well. But yeah, I want to talk about his name, the reputation. Did he really terrorise Wakefield? The tussles with the Wakefield police, he was at court almost every day. Being a tramp, his fall from grace, was he really as tortured? I know all that. His death was an end of an era for Wakefield, if you like. It was certainly, it was an end of a generation. And yeah, how should he be remembered? Was there any lessons to learn from Paul Sykes' life? What should his legacy be remembered as? Should he be hate? Should he be a figure of evil? Should he be a figure? Was he just misunderstood? I want to cover it all. And obviously I've got, the film was supposed to start this year in September. Obviously it's with the coronavirus, it's put everything on the planet back. My publishers have spoke to the filmmakers and have said now they're going to hang for next year now. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's been 3 years now, it's not going to happen. Listen, Vaughan Civil said to us, listen, this is nothing, films take years. The script is written though. They announced it to the world last November. And it is million percent happening. I know who's going to play him, although it hasn't been signed, but it's as good as signed. It's a multi-million-pound film and it'll be huge. How big, how good will it be? I don't know. I can't answer that. Lenny McLean's had a big budget, but it was a very poor film. And I want to speak to people. Obviously, I want to go back and speak to Delroy Showers, Paul's close friend, Clyde Broughton, and obviously John Spenceley, and there's one or two others, I am going to speak to. But yeah, I think it needed an end, and I'm going to bring that. I'm going to do Paul Sykes free, Sykes Final Agony. You've read Unfinished from me. Sorry, you read Sweet Agony from Paul. You've read Unfinished Agony about me. Then there was Further. Now there's going to be Final Agony. I was going to do it next year. I've got 2 years work lined up, but obviously at the minute with all the other books I need to do, I can't, I've got Roy Shaw in the pipeline, Brian Cockrell's, possibly Chris Lambriano, Paul Bright. I've got absolutely stacks of work. But the only book I probably would be kind of more, the only thing inside my head I could probably do a book on, just without not speaking to anyone, is Paul Sykes, because I know a great deal on him. I finished with the Paul Sykes, the Lee Duffy projects now. There's not going to be any more Lee Duffy books from me, unless one of his siblings or kids or best friends asks me. That's never going to be the case. So I'm going to start. I've done the book plan today, guys, and there will be a Sykes third book by Jamie Boyle. Sykes Final Agony is going to be the next one. I'm going to start putting it on the computer tomorrow. It probably will take me about 3 months to do it, but it's going to be out 2020. And yeah, you know, there's been lots of, even every single day, you know, there's been a few famous people, well-known people bought the book. You know, often I'll see people like Ricky Gervais, Jamie Carragher talking about Paul Sykes. And he's a figure that, you know, he's an unbelievable character. And I've got a lot to personally thank him for, because if I never watched Paul Sykes at Large in 2012, I never would have thought of writing a book in my entire life. I've just finished my 14th. This is going to be my 15th. You know, so really, Paul Sykes has given me a career as as an author. You know what? One thing I was going to do. Obviously, I've done the Lee Duffy documentary and the Paul Sykes one. Got many. We've got to do the Roy Shaw one, more Brian Cockrell's. You know, other bits. But I would have loved. You listen. I would have loved personally to have went to Wakefield myself and done the documentary. But the only thing that's stopping me is basically Western Edge Pictures have bought the film rights and they've bought the documentary rights. So I did ask their permission. Warcry Publishing did ask their permission. Said, look, yes, you know, we know you guys are doing the film, but and a documentary, but can we do a documentary? But the answer was no. So, you know, do I think, listen, when Western Edge are finished and they've come and they've made the movies, and yeah, it's something I'll go to Wakefield myself, and I'm gonna do a documentary, you know, on Wakefield's most notorious son. You know, whether you loved him or whether you think he epitomised everything evil. Listen, Wakefield will never forget that man's name. And every single day now, you know, that documentary has became iconic. You know, there's kids out there, my son's age, who weren't even born when Paul Sykes died. And they watch that documentary, that, you know, they do impressions of him. And then that's only going to grow. And he's going to be, he's, you know, I'm not here. And if you've read the books, you know, he certainly wasn't to glamorise Paul Sykes as any of my books, but, you know, he was a guy who could have had it all, but literally died in the gutter with nothing. You know, if he'd have still been here now, he'd have only been, let me think, he'd have been 73 this month. He died 60-year-old, relatively a young man, but when he died, he was 60, he looked 88. You know, that picture where you see of him with the 8 coats on, that was took in November 2004 outside Wakefield Magistrates. You know, he had another 2.5 years after that. You know, so that actually wasn't even as bad as he got. So, yeah, it's, listen, I'm looking forward to, you know, it's kind of how I made my name, if you like, put me on the map. You know, and I think I owe him that. I think I owe the story that. You know, the first books, I had massive help from people like Gavin Hepworth, Chris, really nice guy. If you're watching this, Chris, I'm really sorry. I'm really tired. I've got books growing out my ears and I'm tired. God, Chris. Oh, God, forgot his name. Chris Campbell. Lovely, lovely guy. Nobody knows the city of Wakefield more than him. He's a taxi driver. And he could fight a bit in his day. Really absolute gentleman, and I couldn't have did them with these without him. When the films get involved, you know, I've had chats with the company, and I said, look, you need to kind of get this guy on board, because the knowledge he has for the city of Wakefield and the characters, and you know, I'd like to think Chris could be some kind of technical advisor, if you like, on the city of Wakefield. And you know, because the film is going to start from 1989. People think, well, you know, how far is it going to... It's starting from 1989, just getting out of prison, which is the Paul Sykes documentary. So Paul Sykes is going to be 43. The actor who is, I would probably put my life on playing him, is about 41, 42 now. You know, 6 foot, looks a spitting double of him. He's already been practicing his Yorkshire accent. I spoke to him last year when he was literally working in theatre doing 14-hour days, and he said, the biggest thing that attracts me with the Paul Sykes whole story is the social justice of it all. Everything kind of came back on him, you know, and like Lee Duffy, you know, if he ever did anything wrong in life, then karma came and paid him back 1,000 times, you know. So yeah, it's in life. You know, life came back 360 points, you know, and just basically dealt him. You know, if he'd ever done anything wrong to anyone, he got his just desserts, shall we say? But yeah, it's you know, and he's not reading the books yet. He said he's going to keep them for when he's in concentrated Paul Sykes mode, is what he said. But yeah, listen, guys, keep following the page. There's a Paul Sykes Twitter account. I think it's got about 1,300 followers. The Facebook Paul Sykes account has got about 11,500. That's been going, funny enough, 5 years this month. You know, a lot of you watching this, you might be watching it on this now. But yeah, keep following the page. And listen, it's not to glamorise the guy's life. There was nothing glamorous about the way Paul Sykes went about his business. But, you know, nice guys' books don't sell. Paul Sykes was a really, really bad character. You know, yes, he was. You know, he had his good points and all that. People said if you got to know him, you know, he was bullied himself. And did he become a product of his own environment? He had a wicked bastard of a father, incredible sadistic. You know, we're in the 21st century these days, and would Walter Sykes, and even Betty Sykes for that matter, she wouldn't have got away with bringing, you know, it would have been little Paul would have been put into care. You know, but I have got an incredible amount of knowledge, and I'm going to start typing the book tomorrow. I'm going to shift the insides of my head regarding Paul Sykes and put them into a book. So yeah, it's you know, I think it needed this, the Paul Sykes book. You know, he's pretty massive on forums at the minute, and you know, all these Lads Mag things and Lads Bible. There's another one as well. They literally share Paul Sykes stuff every single day, and they get thousands of comments. And his character's just grown and grown and grown. You know, everyone's seen the Essex Boys films, the Crave films. You know, this really, the Bronson films, Paul Ferris. Listen, this has the potential to be huge. Leicester Square all the way. You know, it's going to be a really, you know, it's certainly got the funds and all that. It's going to be a huge, you know, listen, West End Edge Pictures have made the Joe Calzaghe documentary. They made the Oscar Pistorius film. If you just Google West End Edge and some of the films of, you know, they've had some really top level actors involved. So, you know, they're not by any means any cowboys. So yeah, it's going to happen. I only intended to speak for about 3-4 minutes, and I'm just over 18 minutes now, guys. So yeah, I'm gonna start the book tomorrow. And listen, you know, and that will be done from me. That'll be Paul Sykes finito. You know, I would love to see someone come along and, you know, maybe one of his children. You know, I think I've counted he's got 8 sons. You know, would they write a book? You know, would a lot of Paul's generation are kind of gone now. But there still is people out there who knew him really, really, really well at close quarters. And, you know, the guy was something else. I'm not saying he was this nice guy, but he was something else. He was a complicated, what words? He was a charismatic, flamboyant, or misunderstood character. And yeah, listen, he's certain. I would have loved to have met him. Listen, I certainly don't glamorise that, but I don't mean it as in, oh, he was my hero, kind of, you know, because he wasn't. But you know, I certainly would have. I would have loved to have met the guy. I would have loved to have went inside his mind and found out, you know, why are you like this? Why did you become the way you were? You know, was he you know, borderline psychopath? I'm going to have to cut this video, guys, because my dog's crying for a wee. But listen, guys, keep following the page. Anyone wants to message me directly, Jamie Boyle, or for Filmmaker on Facebook. I'm on Twitter as well, at Jamie Boyle 10. Thank you so much for your time. God bless, and keep following all the projects. Thank you.